Welcome in, everybody, to Fantasy Pros. This is Leading Off, brought to you by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. It's me, Joey P. Joe P's up here. With me, of course, is the Welsh, and it's you, all of our lovely peanuts and Cracker Jacks, hanging out, talking baseball, looking at last night's action, talking about some of the most important things going on in Major League Baseball, fantasy, wagering. We do it all here, and that's how we roll, Welsh. It's great to see you, my friend. How was your holiday weekend? Because I didn't see it yesterday.
Oh, stupendous. Couldn't be better. Couldn't be better for a wonderful holiday weekend.
I'm sensing some sarcasm in your voice.
Really? Are
Yeah,
you?
I am.
No. No, it was no. Yeah, I can't tell why, but it does feel like I've been not here forever, but it was since last Friday I was off, and then I am back, but I am back here for the next 3 days. So I am excited about
Ooh.
that.
Yeah, buddy, let's go. And I don't know if you noticed, I've been on a little home run streak. I got the 2 from Mr. Alvarez.
No,
I got
really?
Matt Olson last night, so that's 3 in 2 days. Somebody's in double digits. Let's go. Let's go. And Mike Mayer, I don't know what got into Mike Mayer. He decided to do a deep dive all of a sudden before the show. Right before the show, he starts sending me all of these reviews of the show. But I don't know what the reviews are. Like, he is cherry picking ones that basically say, I like when Mike Mayer does things. I don't like Joe Pisapia. He's the worst. Those kind of things. Right before the show, to knock my confidence, I feel like a little bit. I feel like this is just me by Mike Mayer.
100%. Mayer's on something right now, too. He's back at his old home run tricks. Just would like to point out, I actually, late in the night, worked on the sheet, put a name up for the home run call. Oh, guess what name I see under Mike Mayer this morning? Absolute villainy is going on from Mike Mayer. And people that don't podcast don't know, there's nothing worse than being knocked down a few steps before you go on air to like entertain and talk to people. And you want to find maybe the worst of the worst, talk about reviews, like podcast reviews.
Oh my
There's
gosh.
nothing worse on the planet. I gave up on it. I couldn't do it anymore because it's evil. It's evil stuff. And then, of course, you were getting some nice fun ones like that.
I was getting some nice one. Well, look, I mean, it doesn't get much better than Joe Pisapia is an insufferable D-bag. I mean, that is about as good as it gets. I might make that my Twitter wallpaper. I think that's my favorite one. And if anybody out there, think about this. We give you free content every day. We work for, I know I put in hours before the show trying to figure out what we're going to talk about, what the pieces are, researching stuff, going through things. Mike Mayer does a lot of work. No matter what I tell you, Welsh does a lot of work. Bogman does BVP stuff every time he's on the show. He still contributes anyway, even if it's one day a week. Imagine your life is so sad that something's given to you for free and you hate it so much that instead of just not listening to it, you're going to leave a bad review of it. I just can't wrap my mind around that. But I know a lot of you do like the show. So if you do, go out there today and counteract a little bit of the negativity and take a time to say something positive, because we appreciate it. And we love doing this show, and I just don't understand why people have a problem sometimes. I don't get what's wrong.
I think it's going to be this day. Like, look at this right here. This is a prime example. This is 100% going to be what this day is, Joe. Drew, I love Drew's comment here. Now I know why Welsh is usually wearing a hat. You want to talk about
that's good-natured fun.
No,
he's here
this
doing
is the day.
it in front of your face, and I think that's okay.
Oh, you know what? It's like
make
a
fun of you
notch
to your
above.
face.
It's
the
a notch
people behind your
above
back.
iTunes reviews, but the bar has been set for today. Thank you all. Drew, dead to me. D-bag guy, dead to me. And Mayer, we know where to put our villainy at. We know who the heel is, and somebody's got to be the bad guy.
Well, to be fair, we have over 1,100 reviews, and 1,090 of them are 5 stars. So there you go.
No. Well, so, now you know what those 10 read. It's, hey, Welsh has got a really bad hairline. Joe's a D-bag. Love Mike Mayer. Signed Drew.
All right. And yes, he does look like John Lackey. We all know he looks like John Lackey, Welsh. All right, let's get on to some more here.
I have many looks. Many looks.
You do have many. You're so versatile. Let's get into some baseball here.
Let's do it.
Martin Perez can't be stopped no matter what. Mike Mayer actually wrote a piece on him in Fantasy Pros yesterday. You can check out about how you should trade Martin Perez. And he's not wrong. When a guy's ERA is under 2, I mean, 7 more shutout frames on Tuesday for Martin Perez. I'm telling you, some contender is going to go after him in the next 30 days. I don't know who it's going to be. If it's going to be the Braves, if it's going to be the Blue Jays, if it's going to be the Mets, somebody's going, the Dodgers. I don't know. Somebody's going to have to go get this guy. And when they do, his stock will never be higher. So if you can wait another couple days or a couple weeks, okay. If you want to sell him now, that's fine. Trey Turner extends his hitting streak to 23 straight games. Matt Olson exploded yesterday, 2 doubles and a home run. I am the slump breaker. Let's go, baby. That's 3 home runs in 2 days for Joey P. We had Chas McCormick, Chaz, picking up 3 hits in the win there. Big late hit, 2 in the extra innings. Frankie Montas goes 7 strong innings, but he ended up losing that game to the Astros. Christian Javier was not good last night. I'll take the L on that one, but we did get a great performance from Adam Wainwright, who was my favorite secondary DK pitcher last night. 10 Ks against the Padres, who could use some offensive help right now. We talked about it yesterday, Welsh. We talked about Will Myers not hitting, Trent Gresham not hitting. We brought up the idea of Andrew Benintendi. Is there anybody else you think might be able to help the outfield a little bit offensively? Because right now, the Padres are struggling outside of Manny Machado, who got thrown out last night.
You think you were speculating that the Royals would move Benintendi?
I think that somebody in MLB Network MLB.com, had a piece yesterday or over the weekend that I saw that I thought was intriguing. So I of course brought it into discussion of the show about here's 5 trades, that would be interesting to make for teams right now. And one was Benintendi to the Padres. And I thought, you know what? Having a guy with a 400 on BP would really help this team at the top of this order because they're not getting anybody on base ahead of Machado.
Sure. Yeah, no, I mean, I think logically that makes sense. I don't think the Benintendi has been one of their best players, which is crazy. And on
where are they going?
Built out team. Yeah, I mean, but I think they're still built. I think they still feel that they're in a contention spot to win because they've had so many guys that have underperformed, from Carlos Santana to Witt. I mean, Witt being maybe specifically the one, while Benintendi has held up. But I agree. The Padres have to do something. They're the most willing to move. And I'm surprised that these moves have not already been done because Grisham sucks. It's brutal right now.
Yeah.
They cannot get this thing going. Tatis is probably still at least, a month away? Probably post All-Star game is the most likely scenario. They need an influx. Like I said, the Mets, even though they just continue to win games, need that pitching influx. The Padres should be doing the same thing. Benintendi would be a great move. I don't know if that's it. I'd love to see them bring CJ Abrams back for a little bit of a spark. And then I'd like to see them. I get what you're saying with like the OBP guy, but I'd like to see them really unload. Like they've got these prospects. They've still got these guys in the minor leagues that they can use. Take Robert Hassel if you have to, and go and move and get a huge big piece, a real piece that can get on base, a power, not even a speed guy, but a power guy.
I know the Nats just came out and said, everyone said, we're not trading Juan Soto.
No, don't do it.
But I'll tell you what, if you offered them Mackenzie Gore, Abrams, whatever else, like you mentioned there in that pile of prospects, man, that's quite a haul. You'd have to at least listen to that trade if you're the Washington Nationals. You're not going anywhere fast.
I love that Rizzo said, we're not trading like Soto. Like we don't even need to discuss this. It's not the move. If they wanted to go Gore and Abrams they're not going to. They're 100% not going to. But I would love to see them go and attack and find a team that, is a little bit middling and get like a big middle of the order piece. Because that's what's struggling here. Machado was great. Machado's kind of come back down. Yeah, I don't know.
But that's the problem. I mean, then Bogarts plays shortstop. So, I mean, bringing in a piece like that, then you're going to have to relegate Tatis to the outfield, which maybe is a good idea. Yeah, I mean, maybe you want to do that anyway for his, to save the wrist a little bit.
But this is why I've speculated that I wonder if you're going to really look at a situation where trades are just going to be silent. We're not going to get a bunch of trades all the way up until the deadline, and the deadline could be a flurry because there's so many teams that are going to feel that they're going to be in it for leading up to August. I have to imagine so many teams with the expanded playoffs, they're going to go in. Diamondbacks would be a prime example. They're middling right now. They're getting wins, but they're still a middling team. That's a team that might hold all the way to the very end, and you still might not get, teams that are going to jump into the fray, which I think makes it difficult and it makes them more costly. So I think trades are going to cost more, and we're going to look and we're going to be like, good Lord, like, it took Robert Hassel to get, I can't even think off the top of my head, whoever it is, some decent OBP outfielder out there. And we're going to look back and we're going to be like, Jesus, these trades do not make sense.
Luis Castillo is going to be on that trade block pretty soon too, especially after another outing like he had last night. 10 strikeouts over 6 scoreless innings. The sinker was topping out. His fastball was topping out at 99 last night. So that's very high.
You're seeing some of those
that
guys actually pop back. They're doing some. I cannot think of who the pitching coach is off the top of my mind, but they're doing some good stuff over there finally right now.
They are.
Because you've seen Hunter Green make that
Mhm.
deserted change of throwing sliders more, throwing it more than his fastball, and he's finding success. Maybe we'll see it tonight. You're seeing Tyler Mahle, who's been really brutal throughout the season, still kind of maintain a lot of that underlining stuff. And then went 6 no hit. And now you're seeing Luis Castillo pop back. There's a formula that they're clicking back with some of these pitchers, all decent buy. I would say Castillo and Mahle are interesting buys in fantasy right now. And Hunter Green, though, my take is that he is more sustainable. So Luis Castillo getting better and then potentially going to another team could be a really interesting second half boon for fantasy owners if it works out like that.
Now, we told you yesterday, be proactive because Wander Franco was going to go to the IL. And guess what? He went to the IL.
Yeah.
So we tried to help you out there. We tried to tell you some guys you could add in the middle infield spot. Hopefully you did, because he's going to be out till at least 10 to 15 days, depending on how long he's going to be out there. Nolan Gorman also is out again in the lineup. He's dealing with a back issue. So if you have daily transactions, you're going to get him out of there. That's no good. No bueno. Nobody likes that. Let's talk about this, Welsh. The Phillies and Braves both lost extra inning games last night. And as the calendar turns to June, the Mets are 10.5 games up on Atlanta, 12.5 games up on Philadelphia. The 10.5 game lead is by far the biggest in baseball. The next biggest is the Yankees, 5.5, over Toronto currently. Now, some little stats about this. The June 1st lead of that magnitude, we're talking the 2001 Mariners with 14. We're talking the 2017 Astros with 11. The Mets are third at 10.5, along with the 2019 Twins, who are 10.5, and the 1971 Giants at 10.5. So that is some incredible elitist company. That Mariner team from 2001, I think we all remember how good that team was. And unfortunately, they just didn't get it done against the Yankees in the playoffs that year. And that was the 9/11 year. It was a very emotional time in New York. So they kind of went into that series, I think, with a bit of a deficit. Trying to win in that environment was very hard. It was a very passionate group of people. It was a very sensitive time. But man, this is an unbelievable lead. This offense just doesn't seem to quit. It doesn't matter who they're plugging in there, Welsh. What do you make of this enormous lead right now that they just keep on piling on to this East, which was supposed to be the hyper-competitive division? It looks nothing like that.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that, the offense had some stuttery points earlier. It was kind of like Alonso and everybody else was just kind of slowly trekking their way up. And then Lindor has just started to pop off. Everybody, Eduardo Escobar has gotten, everybody is starting to
Marte
click.
has been tremendous too.
Marte's an
incredible player.
And this is exactly what they needed to maintain with those rotation pieces hurting. But I think you have to be aggressive. If I had a 10-game lead, I would be hyper aggressive, pinpointing exactly what do I need? What do I need to continue to maintain this? Because it's cyclical. It's great that they got this lead now, but there's going to be, a little run that's going to start kicking back on them. They're going to lose some games they shouldn't lose.
Sure.
Bullpen might unravel a little bit. So how do you maintain that lead? Maybe it's not on offense. Maybe it is that continued run on pitching that they should be doing. But yeah, I mean, what do you make of it? They're one of the best teams in baseball. Hey, any surprise that Lindor with Pete Alonso is working out to be an incredible offense when you have a table setter in Starling Marte? No, it's a great fantasy piece.
But we've been talking about this all the time, and this is the difference in a lot of offenses that we see nowadays in Major League Baseball. The station to station, if they're not hitting home runs, we're not scoring offenses versus do you have athleticism? Do you have guys that can get on base, take an extra base, good base runners? All of those things do add up eventually. And then you have those guys to drive them in. And it's look, I'd like to see a little bit more of that style of baseball played. And there are some teams that are playing it right now. And that's happened to be one of them.
It's actually funny that you bring that up, because I was going through yesterday and I was just starting to, piece together and look at stolen bases, particularly as a Diamondback fan, speaking of 2001, as a Diamondback fan, and some of the bottom teams. It's crazy frustrating the level of, especially like not winning teams, how much they don't look to manufacture runs. And I found it interesting when I was going through and looking at like stolen bases by teams. It's never a 1-for-1, but when you go and look at the teams that are aggressive on the base pass, number one in baseball, St. Louis. Hey, They're pretty good right now. Inside the top 10, you've got Tampa Bay, you've got Cleveland, you've got the Dodgers, you've got Milwaukee, Angels. On the bottom end, and I was specifically looking, the Diamondbacks are 6th worst in baseball. But you've also got like Detroit is in there. Boston has struggled. Washington is in there. And you're looking at the top teams averaging, like the top 10 teams are averaging almost double the stolen bases per game than the bottom 10 teams. And that is such a weird way to play. Ironically, the Mets are kind of in the middle, but it's also because their bats have been hot. They haven't.
But it's not even stealing bases. It's going from first to third. It's having the athleticism,
moving runners over. Yes, you're moving runners over.
But beating out an infield hit. Simple things like that. Having speed on a team, speed matters. By the way, I saw this yesterday. It's a little trivia question I can throw out for everybody. Who is the current leader of active guys in stolen bases in Major League Baseball? Anybody got an idea? Drop it in the chat over there, Fantasy Pros. Again, if you're watching live, who is the current leader of stolen bases right now?
Is it Starling Marte
in Major League Baseball? It is not Starling Marte. It's a good guess, but we'll go on to some more things. George Kirby picked up his first Major League win last night. 6 shutout innings. Another pitcher we liked as a secondary arm on DK, so we did pretty good on DK last night. On the season, 26 innings, 3.46 ERA, a 1.15 WHIP, a 2.8 walk rate, a 25.9 K rate. Eric Cross tweeted all this. Our good friend Eric Cross from Fantasy Pros, Fantrax, Black Book. He says top 50 pitcher rest of season. Do you agree with that? Is he a top 50 pitcher rest of season, George Kirby? I think he's around there, but I think it's a good question.
He's in that range. I don't know if I would anoint him. I mean, it's fun. After this start, he's had 2 starts. I believe it's 2. This last one was great. By the way, I made this bet yesterday, and I did it as a solo bet and placed it. George Kirby's K prop was 3.5. And he had 8. That'll go away.
We talked about it yesterday.
It's going to be, it's going to be probably 5.5 to maybe 4.5 if you're lucky. But like 2 starts ago, people were ready to send him to the woodshed because he was allowing all this contact. He was getting beat up a little bit because all those pitches, there weren't any more whiffs, and he was getting hit hard, and the contact was getting hit hard, and you still see some of that. He's I mean, it's not even in qualifications, but he's bottom 5 in the league so far of average exit velocity given up, and he's bottom 5 in the league in hard hit given up right now. So this is a dude who's dialed it back. I personally seen him hit 100 miles an hour, and he's now hitting in that like 96 range. He's got a good mix, but his command is key. My problem is I still think he's a bit inconsistent, just like the Mariners. So when you've got a guy who's in some inconsistencies and his overall hard hit metrics are some of the worst in baseball right now, I don't know if I'm ready to anoint him. It's all adjustment, and it's rookie pitching. So
the top 50 is not.
It's manageable.
50, I think, is right in that lane, and I think it's achievable.
Okay, I agree, but I also feel like when you go and you make it, and I'm not calling out Eric or anything, I just did a podcast with Eric not too long ago.
No, of course.
But when you make a tweet specifically about a player and you put a number like, hey, it's top 50 SP, I agree that's not that big of a deal, but you've made it a big deal. You're making it this big marker. Hey, guys, he's this type of thing. And I think what that does for a lot of people, what I would usually see, the fervor would be like,
let me give you names.
Would you drop this guy for this guy? Would you do this for this? And I think
let me give you names. Okay. Would you rather have Alex Cobb or George Kirby?
I mean, I would be fine with Kirby. Cobb had he was one of those guys. I think he had the MLB's worst ERA in the first 3 innings of baseball. There's been some unluckiness. I would go with Kirby. That's fine.
What about Patrick Sandoval?
I think I might go Sandoval. I mean, the upside is there with Kirby, but I think I might go Sandoval.
Okay. That's just kind of names that are floating around there. The answer, by the way, to the trivia question, Bizarrizza Jizza got it. It is D. Strange Gordon, 336 stolen bases. D. Strange Gordon.
D. Strange.
All right. So
it's a good question, too, by the way, with the ranks. I'm doing a rank update on inthisleague.com for the Patreon, and I'm updating my redraft ranks every month, and I have to go back and do my next run of pitching, and it's going to be going on this in the next day. That's going to be an interesting one where I want to place him, because I think there's some rookie pitch. I think an interesting debate could be Kirby versus Max Meyer. And I know you could easily say Kirby because he's here and he's had some success, but I'm a little bit worried about the hard hit. And he has got the health, but when Mayer comes up, that could be a question of dominance, or even Shane Baz. That's a better one because Baz is right around the
Shane
corner.
Baz, I think Shane Baz I would take ahead of him right now. And then just, again, I believe more in the race. Now, look, the Wander Franco injury is a little concerning right now. That offense is not that great to begin with. Losing Wander Franco for a couple weeks doesn't make me warm and fuzzy, but they're going to have to do something. But I'm glad they put him on the IL because he's clearly not right. Give him some time to get right.
And he said he was going to be good, by the way. Like, he says he's already feeling good. And right after the stint, he should be right back up. So that's a positive.
He'll be fine. He'll be fine. Everything's going to be fine. Joe's tough guys. We haven't done this in a while. But there was a moment last night. Jose Cuas, who, what a crazy story this is. This is a pitcher for the Royals who came in last night, pitched a scoreless inning of relief. This was a guy who was drafted many years ago as a position player, ended up getting converted to a pitcher. Things didn't work out. He ends up in the Mexican League. He starts pitching and dealing with another sort of the sidearm delivery that starts working for him. He goes to independent league baseball. He ends up getting signed last year and then ends up getting dropped because of COVID a couple years ago. Just crazy situation, right? Finally, he gets his opportunity. And the best part about this whole story is that his younger brother wouldn't let him give up. The guy was working at FedEx. All right. He was working at FedEx, delivering packages, and he would come home and he would throw with his brother every single day, doing bullpen sessions. And he pitched in the major leagues last night. This is a kid from Brooklyn. So again, shout out to my people. I am from Brooklyn. We are very tough. We are insufferable in many, many ways.
Insufferable D-bags.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, don't forget that.
This was a great story. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. And good for Jose. And that is a nice story. I mean, no matter what happens now, at least he got there. And at least he can say he did it. And I think when you see so many stories of these guys, Welsh, who have all this talent, and for one reason or another, it doesn't click, or it doesn't click in that organization, and then they just give up, and the guy just didn't give up. And I think that's fantastic.
Yeah. And this segment brought to you by FedEx.
That's right. Brought to you by FedEx, new sponsor of the show. A lot of people asking about Grayson Rodriguez. I see a lot of that going on in the chat right now. Before we go on to the stat heroes and zeros, do you have any inside information on any Grayson Rodriguez potential starts in the major leagues anytime soon?
You know what? I probably would take him. It's just so hard. The hardest thing I think on the planet to do, especially in redraft, is talk about taking a prospect over another guy that is in the majors right now, especially a prospect with similar-ish ceiling. I do believe Grayson will be up soon, like within the next 2-ish weeks. That's just my guess. And him and Adley Rutschman are like this, and they are a great connection. It'll be a great way for him to get to the majors, guys that know each other to a T. I would, if all things considered, I would want Grayson Rodriguez over George Kirby, kind of regardless of what Kirby's doing right now. So if you had insight that he would be here in the next 2 weeks, I would say yes. I would say
look who's in the chat, Welsh. Cousin Donnie's in the chat. Brooklyn strong. My cousin's in the chat. Look at that. Us Brooklyn people always.
Donnie's a made man in the chat. So chat, treat this man right.
He is a made man in the chat and all over Brooklyn and Arizona as well.
You know, I forgot I got a made man. I might have some work for this made man to do for some recent events in my life. I might have some people for him to go visit. Yeah,
I got some people go visit, make a couple conversations.
I'll hit you up, Donnie. I might need you to make a couple visits or two.
And if you think I'm insufferable, you ain't seen nothing till you met the rest of my family. Oh, my God, forget it. You should see what Christmas is like. All right, let's go to the stat heroes and zeros. Adam Wainwright, brilliant 10Ks last night, 7 innings, no earned. Castillo, we talked about him at the 10Ks. Martin Perez was great. Kirby was great. Blake Snell was pretty good, 6 innings, 6 Ks, 2 earned. Jordan Montgomery had a gem last night against the Angels. 4 Ks, 7 innings strong, 1 earned run. And Frankie Montas gave up 7 hits over 7 innings, 5 Ks, 2 earned. Alejandro Kirk was 3 for 4 with 2 home runs. My boy Matt Olson, 4 for 5. Christian Walker, 13 home runs. That snuck up on me. I heard that last night when I was watching that game, and he's got that many. You know, isn't that funny? Like, you do this every day.
Hard hit. I mean, I don't know.
And there's some guys just sneak up on you anyway.
Well, I should have gone and looked too, because I don't know how many 12 homer guys are not hitting 200 in baseball right now. That obviously improved last night where he went 3 for 4, but he got on base. Dude smacks and crushes the ball. He's done this for a long time. You just got to be more consistent. But think about what he could do if he was hitting, 250. He's hitting $198 he was, and he's crushing all those homers. So he's definitely one of those underrated guys.
Speaking of underrated, Andrew Vaughn, 4 for 5, another home run. He's been underrated too.
I watched this home run live. I watched this home run live.
But how much did you and I talk about Andrew Vaughn, and then he had like kind of an unceremonious beginning to his career, and now nobody cares about him? I care. He's doing great. Jonathan Scope 2 for 3 with a dinger. Jose Trevino hit a home run. Wilson Contreras 2 for 4 with a bomb as well. Max Kepler had a good night to play 3 for 4 with 3 ribbies, and Marcana 4 for 5. He's been a great pickup for the Mets. Yep. All right, here's the stat zeros. Patrick Corbin, 7 earned runs, 12 hits. It's over. It's done.
And
Lucas Giolito, not a great start. Go ahead.
Picked up his 8th loss of the season. Think about that for a minute. I don't think there's a 8-win pitcher so far this season. He is 1-8.
Well,
give him credit for this.
He's earned it. He's earned all 8 of them.
When he starts, you're gonna get a decision. He's not indecisive. You'll get a decision from Patrick Corbin. Just almost 90% of it tells us it's going to be a loss. It's incredible.
By the way, Wonky Penguin, I feel your pain. She said, I had Vaughn everywhere last year and then figured Tony La Russa was never going to let him play. Me too. And I had no shares this year and I'm pissed off about it. So pretty frustrating stuff there. Noah Syndergaard, also frustrating. Came back to New York City, not to the Mets stadium yet, but to the Yankees, and 5 earned runs, no strikeouts. So he continues to be all over the place. Giolito had a bad start. I'm not worried about that. Heimer Candelario, how about this one? 0 for 7. Whoa. Wow. 3 strikeouts. Trevor Story, 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. If only there was somebody for the last week telling you it can't get any better than this. If you could sell Trevor Story for an overpay, go do it, because here it comes. I'm telling you, here it comes. It's coming around again. This is what happens. It's what he does.
He's tough too, because like he hit, I think it was 224, if I remember correctly, in April. And we were like, send him out, get him, pitchforks and fire. This month, or in May, because now it's June, I forget. In May, the guy had 9-10 homers. Incredible. We're like, oh my God, he's back. He had a worse batting average in May than he did in April. He was worse.
Dude, I keep telling everybody, the strikeout rate's the same. What happens when he stops hitting home runs and stealing bases? Because you can't steal first. His OBP was under 300.
Biggest sell of all time. Biggest sell, maybe the biggest fantasy sell of the season.
I kept a pound every week. I did a video on it here on this very channel. Sell Trevor Story. Basically the title of the video. Here. Subscribe to the channel. Adley Rutschman 0 for 4 with 3 Ks. JD Martinez 0 for 3 with 3. Gio Urshela, after a great night, went the other way, 0 for 4, 3 Ks. Vlad Guerrero Jr. 0 for 5, 1 K. I did a video about him yesterday, just came out this morning. Look, I think this is your window in Dynasty, especially to buy Vladdy, because Vladdy's going to have a great career. And I think anybody right now is a little frustrated, and you don't usually get a window on this kind of player at all. I think this is your dynasty window to buy Vladdy. What do you think, Welsh?
1000%. I'm not, I'm never an out on Vlad guy. Like in his rookie year, everyone's like, this guy can't get the ball up in the air. What is going to happen here? Nope. I'm always a buy, and I'm always going to be. I'll get right back in. And actually, on the ITL Baseball podcast coming up for tomorrow, we're going to debate Vlad in a redraft versus there's a couple other popular first basemen that have been debated in there. In that question, I think it actually might have been Cross or somebody had posed the question. That is the one.
What do you think about this?
Right there.
Who would you rather have, Alonso or Vlad? I guess. Well, let's say dynasty. Who would you rather have?
Yeah, well, that is the question. That is the exact debate we're going to do, and we're going to put a poll out there because in that whole, like, if you were to draft now, who would you take? In dynasty, I'll still take Vlad. I'm not going to take Pete Alonso over him. In redraft, I think there's a definite possibility that you could do that. I mean, I don't know if I would.
We get the halfway point. We'll redraft the first round here on the show. We'll do that. That's a fun time.
I just don't know if I would. Would you take Alonso just hands down over Vlad rest of season redraft?
I still think Vlad is the better overall hitter, but it's really tough because Alonso's getting it done right now. So that's the hard. Hey, look, in redraft, I could see where maybe Vlad has a down year. In dynasty, I still want Vlad. In redraft, I understand wanting to hold tight with Alonso because it's working. So why muck with something that's working?
And also,
that mentality is fine by me.
And why move a crazy performing player that's maybe 2 rounds less than this other guy who's underperforming like that? It's not a trade you can make. It's not necessarily applicable, but it is fun to ask the question, like, who would you rather have the rest of the season?
Right. All right, there's the leaderboard. DeBlum. It's DeBlum. I like to call him DeBlum because I thought that was
Jeff
more fun.
DeBlum.
Jeff DeBlum. Yes. You see the home run, the call that I make goes upward. You see. So the Night King of the North has 18 still.
Wow.
I have after last night, I have 12, I believe.
Holy cow. I don't know where I'm at. I had no idea.
I don't know where you're at, but I am at 12 and I am getting very dangerously close. Mike Mayer has 14. All I want to do in life is get ahead of Mike Mayer on that board first. That's my only
goal how many does he have
in my entire life? He's got 14. I've got 12.
Gross.
If I can get 2 tonight from my guy, we're tied. Let's go. All right, here we go. Let's go.
Up.
BetMGM, the king of sports books. Bet $10, win $200 when you bet on any game, regardless of the outcome. Sign up today at betmgm.com or download the BetMGM app. Use the promo code leading off. One word, leading off. I'm wearing a crown because it's the king of sports books. See, it's a bit. It's what I do every single day. I put the crown on. Bogman laughs every time someone says.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great bit.
It's a great bit. It's fun. I mean,
I'm the king.
I'm the king of insufferableness. That's what I am. Today I saw BetMGM 1.5 total bases, -120 on Jazz Chisholm in Colorado tonight. I'll take that every day of the week.
Oh, I like that.
Rodon against the Phillies struggling, but this is, I think, a trap one. The number's 8.5. You want to go the under on this one, Welsh, or the over at 8.5 with the Phillies? I know the Phillies have been struggling. I feel like this one's a trap. I kind of feel like the under is the way to go tonight. What do you think?
I was just talking about Rodon the other day. Rodon is a crazy home split home away split guy right now, where he is absolutely dominant, like a 2.2 ERA at home, but he's like 4.5 or higher on the road. So I look at this and I go, I would take the under. I'm not sure I make this bet. The under strikeout ones are tough, but if it is it really at 8.5? Where is it at 8.5? Is that MGM? Yeah, MGM. You know what?
MGM, yeah.
If I'm feeling loose and I'm wanting to make some bet, because sometimes, sometimes you're making bets and you're like, all right, we got to hammer down here. And then sometimes you feel a little bit loose and you like them. I actually do like this one. 8.5, I would take the under because away is not great for him. And this is in Philly.
All right, we're running long today, so let's hammer these out. Aaron Judge, 1.5 to a +112 BetMGM. Also, Kyle Wright, 5.5 Ks against the Arizona Diamondbacks. I like the over on that. It's -152. It's a lot of juice, but I don't care. Welsh, what were the props that you had your eye on real quick before we go to DFS?
And theirs was under, by the way. I want to point out that -152 is the juice on the under.
That.
So you're going to get over.
One. Nope.
I probably would go over. The two I like the most is Robbie Ray strikeouts 6.5, Baltimore, and Kopech strikeouts 4.5. It is against Blue Jays though, but I don't necessarily always say to do this, but I put those two together in a little 2 strikeout parlay. Those are my 2 favorites. I think there's actually a lot of good ones. I also kind of like Jeffrey Springs and Yu Darvish, both at 4.5. If I were, wanting to maybe put a little 4-teamer together, you can bet solo. Juice is a little bit weird all over, but Robbie Ray is the one I think I might also solo bet. I think the juice is around 130 right now.
Speaking of Robbie Ray on DK, 9.5 K for him, but I'm all Nestor Cortez tonight. 10.7, pay for it, just pay for it. He's been so good. Tariq Skubal at 10.2 is the pivot if you want to have one lineup with Cortez and one with somebody else just in case. John Gray's just 6.4 tonight. Again, it's just 6.4. So go get Cortez, go down to Gray, hope for the best, and then hopefully you can get a W there. On FanDuel, keep it simple. Go right for Cortez at 10.8. Same thing. If you want to differentiate in the tournament, go with Skubal at 10.5. If Cortez loses tonight, has a bad start, you have Skubal in the same lineup, that goes off. All of a sudden, you're in good standing. I like the Yankees, my favorite stack of the night. There really isn't a lot of value tonight on the DFS names in terms of guys in the lineup, so just get that pitcher right. For me tonight, I'm going with Rafael Devers for my home run call. Welsh, who are you going with tonight?
Well, I told you, I just got cherry picked. I made it before anybody else, but Mike Mayer didn't care, and he just put it on the board. I got Nelson Cruz playing a true BVP. This is like that Jonathan Scope one from a couple weeks ago. You look, there's one player that's dominant versus a pitcher. It's Nelson Cruz tonight on Carrasco. That's who I picked, and surprise, surprise, that's who Mike also picked. So I guess I won't be, but I'm not looking to jump him. I just need to get some homers.
Spread the positivity, do something nice, leave a nice review of the show leading off. We're in June 1st. We're having fun. We're calling home runs. I'm wearing crowns. We're doing good work. And look, we see the numbers. The numbers are growing. So we thank you for listening, because you guys are just crushing it in terms of the downloads, the listens, the subscriptions we're going on. I'm telling you, you guys are the best. We love you, and we appreciate you being part of the show. So that'll do it for us. But the story of the game goes on. For the Welsh, I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids.
Wearing a hat tomorrow.